guys, it's Christina from Redefine Creative, and I am here with another project for the Wild Whisper design team, and I am playing with the Just Because collection. So this is not from the brand new release that just came out, but it is from the one before. And so I have a 4x4 picture, and it's a black and white photo of my son, and he had gotten this like new bow and arrow set, and so he's in his pajamas, but he spent like literally hours probably shooting a million of these arrows back and forth at our door. And this is one of those pictures, and this is something that I really struggle with, like personally. This is one of those pictures that I really loved the picture, and it was an important picture for me, like to me. And those are the types of pictures that I tend to stick in a box and not scrapbook because I don't want to mess them up. Is anybody else with me? Like the important pictures or the really great pictures are the ones that tend to get left in this fancy box because I'm so afraid that I'm not going to do them justice and it's not going to be perfect. So I have challenged myself to reach into that box sometimes and pull out a photo that I feel like is one of these really good, really important, kind of meaningful photos for me and to create with it. And so this is one of those photos. And I thought that this Just Because collection from Wild Whisper was perfect because fussy cutting all of these circles kind of look like targets for target practice. And he is shooting his bow and arrow, and there's a target in the background on like the back of our door. So I fussy cut a bunch of those out of the pattern paper that I could kind of layer up in sort of this diagonal along with my photo. And these really bright greens look amazing if you use them with a black and white photo. And so that's kind of where I started and headed with this particular photo. Now I did grab this piece of metal out of my stash, and some of you guys are going to laugh when you see what else I grab out of my stash. But this was something that a company called Making Memories made forever and ever ago, and it was this metal that was for scrapbooking. And I just had this little piece kind of wadded up and left over. And so I took some permanent black ink and inked it up to kind of distress it and give it a little bit more color than just the silver metal. And then what you see on that roll right there is a really old scrapbooking product, and it's called Magic Mesh. So you need to leave me a comment down below if you remember Magic Mesh or if you still, like me, have a bunch in your stash, because that is like a really old one, you guys. So it's this really thin mesh, and it has kind of an adhesive on one side. And so I just used it to back a couple of the arrows in this particular cut file that I'm using. I am going to put my picture on some fun foam, and the reason I'm going to do that is not so much for the dimension, but because I want to protect my photo from being on that metal because the edges are a little bit sharp. I used my tiny attacher to take a piece of the cut file and staple it onto that metal piece. And then I added that staple element kind of throughout the layout so that it carried over. And then I am going to go ahead and add another piece of fun foam on the back to kind of sandwich that metal in the middle of the fun foam, because that's going to help with adhering to the page when I'm using that particular metal product. I'm going to take just a little piece of the branding strip that just says Just Because over and over and put that right underneath my photo. And then I'm going to go ahead and add my title, and it's just going to say Fire Away, and I'm going to kind of nestle that into the bottom edge of that metal mesh piece. I am kind of planning that I'm going to do a bunch of journaling underneath. I don't do that on screen, but I am going to go back and add that journaling. So if you are somebody who often has a lot of journaling and a lot of things you want to say, I have left that bigger box on the bottom, knowing that that's the perfect place to go ahead and put my journaling. I did take a letter X and make it, like cut it apart and make it into that little arrow, and then I took a letter V and made it into a bigger arrow to kind of mimic what was happening in the cut file that I used. So I have the three little pieces. And then I was trying to decide on some enamel dots, and the colors just were not working the way I wanted them to. So I'm kind of thinking about how I want to incorporate a little bit more kind of pizzazz and some mini embellishments at this point. I do add that one little puffy sticker phrase, and then I go ahead and grab some Spiegel Mom Scrap sequins. And this pack I believe is called Summer Breeze. And it has these really great kind of yellows and bright blues and greens. And so I'm going to add a few clusters of those. So I'm going to have one down by my title. I'm going to have a few kind of scattered around my circular elements. And then I am going to go back and I'm going to add some to my cut file itself to kind of carry that same little embellishment over to that cut file element as well. I did originally have those two cut files offset a little bit more, and I wish I would have left them offset a little bit more. So if you're creating with rows of arrows like that, I would definitely recommend having them a little bit more offset. But by the time I realized they weren't where I had originally wanted them, they were already glued down, and so I just went ahead and left them. But if you were to try something like that, I would definitely offset them from each other just a little bit more. But that's basically going to do it. So I hope you will head over and check out this Just Because collection. It is a really, really fun one. And these pattern papers are a lot of fun to kind of create your own layers and embellishments. And I will be back to see you guys again very soon. Have a great day. Bye.